Mara technical analysis, fundamental statistics, along with reviewing my current position today, the price target starting off the price action. We are analyzing Bitcoin here because Mara is a blockchain miner. It has a direct correlation to what Bitcoin does. So that is why we're looking at this. There's a couple different chart patterns here that I want you to pay attention to. We have two chart patterns unfolding, one much more likely than the other. The first one is an inverse head and shoulders. This is kind of what you'd be looking at, something like this. Okay, here's the first little shoulder. Here's the big one, and then this would be the last one. And it is a modified, irregular head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. That's the first one. The second one is a cup and handle. Here's the cup. Here's the handle. That one's pretty very easy to see because this cup is pretty much picture perfect, but the handle, on the other hand, not really, right? So both chart patterns have their flaws. Regardless of me being a long-term, high conviction Bitcoin bull, I think it is safe to say that at these prices, it's fine long-term and medium-term and short-term maybe too, okay? Bitcoin is literally just skyrocketed since October, literally, okay? So maybe it'll just keep doing that. You never know. But if we look at the weekly chart here, especially at the relative strength index, we are literally at 70. We've been overbought for like 5 months now, okay? A little bit of a cool down would not hurt. To get a little bit of a better entry point, I sold almost all of my Mara, basically Bitcoin, right? Mara, Bitcoin, same thing almost. I sold it all specifically for this reason. I sold when it was on Thursday. I sold when it was at like 59K. Now it's at 58K, almost 57K, right? It had dipped all the way down to 56K at a point. I'm looking to re-enter a little lower, although I'm conflicted because Bitcoin is so crazy and there's news that can be dropped at any point, and it's Bitcoin, it's crypto, right? So it doesn't follow chart patterns as reliably as high cap or mid cap stocks do, right? I'm scared to be out of Bitcoin for too long, or Mara. Okay, I'm going to refer as Mara as Bitcoin because they're the same thing basically in my mind. So sorry if you're confused on that. Like, this is a Mara video, not Bitcoin. It's both. But I will be looking to re-enter. I would love to get a better price. I would love to get in on this. I would love if we could see some dippage and some correction, some mini crashing going on in the short term. Because long term, there's no doubt in my mind, really, that Bitcoin is going to be doing a fairly steady. When I say steady, I'm using that I have a very loose definition with that because this is a very volatile play. But I will be looking to re-enter and play it accordingly. But nonetheless, the chart pattern, I would like a dip. I would like a little bit of a dip. Of course, no one knows what's going to happen. Predicting Bitcoin is very hard, but I told you the chart patterns. We also have the relative strength index. We're looking at 56 on the daily. But if we look at the weekly, we are still overbought. We're not looking as bad as we did over here, which is crazy because we've literally doubled the price nearly since this point. But we are now looking at 70 on the RSI. A little bit of a cool down would be nice. Let's look at the Bollinger Bands on the weekly. We've got plenty of room to run on the weekly, okay? But if we look at the daily, guys, we have been seeing a little bit of shortening of these outside Bollinger Bands that is going to represent some lower and decreased volatility for the stock, for the cryptocurrency, I guess, and for Mara. So I guess same thing. But if I want you to look at this middle Bollinger Band, sitting at 56.6K. If we were to see any dippage, any carnage, any blood in the streets, that is where I will personally be loading up a little bit of my shares. Okay, loading up a little bit. That might confuse some beginners. I will be starting to fill out my position more. I would definitely be loading a little bit more at least if we were to dip and see that middle Bollinger Band, because obviously just look in the past. Okay, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. The middle Bollinger Band and these the outside Bollinger Bands, they act as support and resistance levels very often and very accurately, usually. So that is what I would be looking to do personally. I would love to get more of a carnage, but I would love to get it to dip all the way down to something like this. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. I think people are realizing the value of Bitcoin now. But if we look at some other indicators, moving averages on the daily, everything's bullish, okay? If we were to see some dippage to this 55-day moving average, we have not dipped below that since the start of the run-up, basically. So if we were to dip to 53K, 53.1K, that is like, okay, I'm selling other stocks to get in on Mara, seriously. Because we have not, as long as we hold that is that is basically the number one indicator of being in an uptrend to me, because right when we tapped that, well, we didn't even touch it actually. We almost touched that 55-day moving average, and then boom, broke out of the descending triangle pattern straight up, following a very steep ascending level of support. So if we dip to that 55-day moving average, that is a load up zone in my opinion. Looking at the MACD on the daily, we are in, okay, I can't even tell. It looks like we're in bearish territory, but they are literally right on top of each other, so I can't even tell. But definitely watch the daily MACD to see if we get some bullish or bearish momentum represented by the MACD. If the orange line is on top, bullish. If the signal line is on top, bearish. Look at the weekly. Okay, we're in, but look at this. This looks kind of scary though on the weekly. Okay, the MACD does look a little scary, like the MACD line is trying to come back down, and the signal line wants to cross. That is going to be very scary. That is something to watch for sure. Because once we get that MACD cross on the weekly, that is going to represent some very bearish momentum for the stock. Macroscopically, though, remember the weekly is slower to react to price action than the daily and other indicators that are slower, that are lower down the time frame scale. Tomorrow's bull case slash pros. I made this a while ago, but almost all of it is still relevant. So I'm going to go through a couple points that are important. Bitcoin has an inverse relationship with the U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar has not been doing too well, and with inflation, stimulus, regardless of if you think inflation is going up or down, or if you think it's a good thing or not that we're just printing money, it's good for Bitcoin if inflation goes up, because that is going to be that's what everyone wants to see for Bitcoin. If inflation goes up, Bitcoin is going to freaking skyrocket probably. But at the same time, a lot of people have already priced that in to the stock. So, it's like, okay, how much is that actually going to affect it? No one knows for sure. I think it'll probably affect a fair amount at least. The pandemic, among other factors, had led to public trust in government fading. As a decentralized currency, Bitcoin acts as a safe haven for many investors who would like a hedge against the government. More people are realizing, in my opinion, that the government is not this, not this savior that's going to save all, fix everyone's problems. A decentralized currency, cryptocurrency, that is something that people, as the internet gains more exposure, as more people start finding out about Bitcoin, as other countries start developing and start gaining internet access regularly, like plenty of them have to do. Plenty of other countries, third world countries, have not developed enough. There are a lot of people that don't even know what Bitcoin is, don't even know what phones are. When those people, over time, as they start gaining more internet access, they start realizing, okay, Bitcoin, I've seen like 5 ads for Bitcoin. I've seen Bitcoin bots. Let's go check it out for once. A lot of people are going to start doing that. It's just going to be a domino effect, dude. In the sense of it's just going to keep going up, and it's just going to start going straight up, in my opinion, eventually. And whether that is now, in the next couple months, I'm not sure, but this is why this is why, partly, not to get too into the cryptocurrency world. I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as the technology of Bitcoin, to me, some people don't think it's complicated. I don't understand. It's pretty complicated. The blockchain and how it actually works and how the transactions actually happen and mining it and all this crap. It's complicated. I don't understand all of this. Sometimes I'm listening to people, Peter Schiff debates, and I'm like, I love Peter Schiff, but not what he thinks about Bitcoin. But when people talk about the technology of Bitcoin, it's hard to understand sometimes. I'm not a Bitcoin guru. I'm into it. I'm definitely into the Bitcoin world, as you can see. I mean, I wouldn't be able to write this if I wasn't. But I'm not like a freaking wizard when it comes to Bitcoin. Okay, but what I do understand is that there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin available to mine, which means the supply will run out. Economics teaches us that the less supply there is, typically the more demand there is. This basically means as we get closer, as Bitcoin goes up and there are more Bitcoins being mined, there's going to be less available to mine. Okay, that's pretty simple. Rewind that if you didn't understand. The lower the supply is, the higher the demand is going to be, because people are realizing, oh wow, there's only X amount left. I could have got way more earlier, but now that the supply is going down, I better get in while I can, because if I wait, there won't be any left, because the supply is fixed. It's a fixed amount of Bitcoin. So this is really bullish. I don't think people realize how insanely bullish this is. As Bitcoin supply continues to decrease over the next months and years, more people will start to realize that if they do not act hastily, they may never get a chance to own a stake in the cryptocurrency. Also, humble brag real quick. Yeah, last edit was 30 minutes ago. Go watch the first Mara video I did. There's your proof right there. I did not edit this. The only thing I edited in this was this right here. Yeah, this literally, I just changed this figure because it was 40%. Now it's 80%. I have been exactly right about Bitcoin, actually, but it's only been a month or two, but obviously, we have been exactly right. Congratulations to anyone who watched the first video on Mara, but also more and more businesses have started to follow and approve Bitcoin transactions, including trading and wages in Bitcoin. For example, PayPal, Square, Tesla. Okay, there's more by now. There's more that have done this since I've made this. Okay, as time goes on, there's a high chance many businesses will make this change just for the simple idea of not being left behind in obsolete old ways. A lot of them are going to do it because they actually do the research and they realize, okay, Bitcoin is something legit that we should offer. It's going to take our business to the next level, give us an edge against competitors. But also, a lot of businesses are going to do it just so they don't get left behind. A lot of people are realizing, Gary Vee has been saying this for freaking almost decades. Um, you can't get left behind and just doing the CEO, search engine optimization for your business and business cards and flyers, right? The internet is taking over. It's similar to this. A lot of businesses, since Gary Vee was exactly right, like I thought he would be, uh, a lot of people are going to realize businesses that still are alive, that didn't get killed by by clinging to obsolete old ways. A lot of them are just going to be like, okay, new thing, new trend. Let's do it so we don't get left behind, if that makes sense. Okay. Um, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, I know this is a little complicated. I know I like to rant a little bit. Tesla just roughly invested 1.5 billion. Okay, that was a while ago. Okay, Tesla's in. If you like Elon Musk, if you think he's a genius, I think he's a little overrated. Honestly, I love Elon Musk. I love his podcast with Joe Rogan, but little not as much of a genius as a lot of other people. I think, in my opinion. Okay, disagree. That's fine. Also, Mara recently bought 150 million worth of Bitcoin. They are already up over 80%. We're going to go over this. Okay, I've already spent enough time on this. Let's just skip over here real quick. On that point, right? They just made a ton of money on that. Their financials are great. Okay, 286 short-term assets, short-term liabilities 1 million, long-term liabilities pretty much nothing. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Okay, look at the debt to equity analysis. All right, it's they are well positioned to expand their business, which they are going to be doing. If I skip over here, okay, we're going to go over this in a second. But firstly, I want to go over their CEO did sell 700,000 shares. That's not good on February 18th. I just want to let you guys know he still owns almost 4 million shares. Okay. So this is not, let me zoom in here so you can see a little better. Okay. He still owns 4 million shares in Mara. So this is nothing to be worried about. He still owns way more than he did in January, really at the start of February. So this is nothing to get worried about. Sometimes people just like to take a little profit, okay? Similar to what we do as investors. We're here to make money. You know what the CEO is doing? He's there to make money, okay? It's all the same. A little bit of insider selling is not something to freak out about. Of course, it's more bearish than bullish, of course, but it's not something to freak out about because he's still got 4 million shares. Okay. DMG Blockchain Solutions and Mara Holdings enter into definitive software and technology agreement for the DCMNA poll. Okay, that's a mouthful. This is recent news, and I want to go over just a little bit over what the DMG CEO just said. This isn't the Mara CEO, right? This is the company that they just did an agreement with. Their CEO. I just want to talk about what he just said. While institutional interest in Bitcoin is accelerating, many large funds and corporations have expressed concerns over purchasing Bitcoin that may have been tainted by nefarious actors. Our pool's initiatives are grounded on decentralization, transparency, legal compliance with U.S. rules and regulations, and independent auditability under U.S. auditing standards. While we appreciate some miners' appetite for processing transactions indiscriminately, I know this is boring. Stay with me, though. This is important. Try to understand this. It is our belief that as a publicly listed company based in the United States and as one focused on enabling more institutional adoption of Bitcoin, it is our responsibility to follow U.S. regulations. We believe that such regulatory compliant mining will allow us to produce clean Bitcoin. Think about how big that is for certain businesses that don't really like Bitcoin. They think it's a scam. These guys, their little thing that they're doing here, their agreement, their new place they're going to be mining, they are compliant, they're being extra transparent, which is exactly what institutions and certain businesses want to see before they go and invest in Bitcoin or before they go and start offering Bitcoin as pay, as wages, or start offering that as a transaction method and a payment method, right? So this is really good. And this is the DMG CEO, which will enable a greater number of institutions to gain exposure to this new asset class, ultimately benefiting our organization, our shareholders, and the broader network. Okay, it's not genius because it's really simple. Like, okay, let's just go ahead and comply with US regulations and let's make it very transparent. Mara is one of the largest enterprise Bitcoin self-mining companies in North America and will be launching the first North America-based Bitcoin mining pool that is fully compliant with US regulations, including anti-money laundering and the Office of Foreign Asset Controls standards. That is important because Bitcoin has got a reputation that it's shady, that it's not legit. It can be hacked. It's a bunch of freaking 40-year-olds in hoods on their computer, right? That's kind of a thought of Bitcoin, and obviously it's completely wrong, I think. But this is good that these guys, this agreement, they are trying to take another step into being more transparent, more clean, more safe, more trustworthy. This is a good thing for Bitcoin because a lot of people, including people that I know personally, all right, I'm sure everyone knows them, they think Bitcoin is not safe. They think it's not safe. This is a good step in the right direction to proving to these people that they don't do the research in Bitcoin and realize that it's actually more safe than regular currency. This is a step in the right direction towards convincing them and showing them that it actually is legit. Also, some important notes here. Mara intends to direct 100% of its hash rate to the new mining pool. Mara expects all 103,000 of its miners to be deployed by the first quarter of 2022. Now, some of this is going to be priced in. It's so long away, though. It's like, I don't think it's all priced in. So getting in now, you will benefit from this whenever it is priced in because this is very bullish. Looking at the insider ownership and institutional ownership, 4% insider ownership according to Finviz, 10% institution. Okay, I think these are both a little outdated. I think this is more like 2%, and this is more like 4%, according to an article that I saw. But then again, it's like, which source do you want to trust? Like everything we see nowadays, there's one person saying this, one person saying this. They both claim to be factual. They both are reliable sources, roughly, like a little bit. You just got to look at what you're seeing, decide what's objectively the best. Either way, this is not why we're invested in Mara. We don't want it because insiders own it. We want it because Bitcoin is freaking awesome. Okay, that is why we want it. At the end of the day, current positions. Everything is the same. Okay, Mara, end of your price target, end of your bear case, $80. Risk is very low. Notice it is literally the lowest out of all of these. That is how bullish I am on Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin can get hacked or Bitcoin can get regulation and that can send it to crash 20, 50%. Easy, easy. In my opinion, those chances are extremely low, or at least it getting hacked is very low in my opinion. But at the end of your bear case, $80. In your bull case, 100 to 300. That is how bullish I am on Bitcoin, okay? I think $300 is possible. And no, the bull case does not mean I think it's going to hit that. That means if everything goes perfectly, I think that is the highest amount that it can reach. And if it does, I will be taking profits there. And your bear case, just think of this as what I think it's going to go to. Okay, this is what I realistically think it's going to go to. It's not even necessarily a bear case. It's just my price target, my realistic price target. Although it does say bear case, but okay, but that's what we're looking at. We've already hit the April 7th price target. We're doing phenomenal. When I first started talking about Mara on the channel, it was $22. $22, more than 100% run up. We already hit the March 4th price. I've made more than 100% on this. I've been swinging it pretty successfully as well. But that's what we're looking at as far as current positions. Relevant information is done. This is not financial price, guys. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.